Hello people, I'm the Comic Book Gamer. Today I'm going to talk about Superman Brainiac. Now this is one of my favorite Superman books of all time. It's written by Geoff Johns, and I'm going to be covering it today. Now, unlike most of my videos in this series, where I've done Batman Run by Grant Morrison, I did Batman by Frank Miller, and I've done Spider-Man by Mark Millar. Now that's where I've taken like entire runs by a writer on a character and talked about it all in one video. Today I'm just going to be talking about one single book, not Geoff Johns' entire run, and that's what I'm going to be doing for Geoff Johns' Superman run, because while the books are all in the same universe and they're connected, their story relevance isn't really there. Just as far as story goes, they're not really relevant to one another, so there's no reason to talk about them all at the same time. So I'm going to be going book by book, starting out with Superman Brainiac. Now, as always with this series, I'm not going to be covering every single little detail that happens in the book, but I'm going to be covering the main overarching story and stuff like that. And the point of this series is to let you guys know what's happening in some of my favorite comics and to encourage you guys to read the comics on your own. So anyways, let's get into it. So this book starts out with the capture of Kandor. Yes, we're back on Krypton, back when everything was all good, and then everything just went south. What happened was Brainiac came by. He starts bottling the city of Kandor. His robots are there. They're capturing everyone. The city of Kandor is being closed off by a shield. We see that Zod is trying to stop Brainiac, and he's furious about what's going on because, you know, he's general. It's his job to protect Krypton, but he's pretty much just defenseless. He can't do anything about it. These are his people that are being taken captive, and there's nothing he can do about it. He has failed as a general here, and it's not going very well for Krypton. Brainiac ends up taking all of them, and then we flash forward to the present time. In the present, we see that the Daily Planet is being sort of reshaped a bit. They're hiring people back that used to work for them, like Cat Grant. She's come back to the Daily Planet. They're making a new news team, and so yeah, this is really cool because what I love about this is we get some great character moments here because we see Jimmy, Clark, Lois, Lombard, and Cat Grant all there along with Perry White, you know, assembling the team. And there's just some great character moments here, some amazing dialogue that I just love. It's so good because Geoff Johns, he just knows how to write it. It's just some funny dialogue. I love the back and forth between Lois and Clark. It's so great. And this is basically what I love about pre-New 52 Superman, that whole world, is this whole part. It's just, like, it's so fun. It's the Daily Planet. It's them in their prime. Superman and Lois are married at this point, and I love it so much. It works so well, and it's really entertaining. But while Clark is talking to Lois, he hears something, so he flies off as Superman because, you know, it's time to save the day, and he finds out it's a Brainiac robot. He starts fighting it. The Brainiac robot gets some blood from Superman and then just disables. It's done. The robot just falls over, and Superman's a little curious about what's going on. So he goes and he talks to Supergirl about it because, you know, she was on Krypton and all that happened. She is paranoid about Brainiac. She is scared to death of Brainiac because, you know, she's a little girl when that happened. She was also defenseless when that happened, just saw tons of her friends just taken off like it was just out of nowhere. Just one day, all of her friends just taken straight up by Brainiac, and that was very scary and not a fun experience for her. So she has been very traumatized by that. So whenever you mention Brainiac, she kind of freaks out, and it's no different here. She's just saying that Brainiac is just not a good dude. Don't mess with him, Clark. Just leave him be. Like, he's not someone to be trifled with. So then Clark goes to talk to Ma and Pa Kent to tell them about how he's planning on going off-world to go after Brainiac because Brainiac sent that robot there. It just died. It's real mysterious. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know what Brainiac's plan is, and he needs to find out, and preferably before Brainiac gets to Earth to cause some harm. He also tells them that he's not going to tell Kara anything about that because she's way too paranoid and emotional about this, and it just would not go well. Also, there needs to be someone there on Earth to help protect it, because she would either offer to go with him or just say don't go at all and trying to stop him. So things just would not go well if he told Kara, so that's why he's deciding to, you know, leave her out of it because she's way too invested into that. But while Clark is talking to his parents, telling them about everything, Ma Kent isn't very approving about it. She does not want him to go. So Clark and Jonathan Kent decide to go out to the to the barn to talk about him going out there, and Clark's like, you know, I know Ma doesn't want me to go. What do you think? You don't think I should go either, do you? And he says, and Jonathan just says, I'm long past worrying about the decisions you make. You're Superman. He says, your greatest power isn't being able to fly or see through walls. It's knowing the right thing to do. And I love this moment between Clark and Jonathan. It shows like the father and son bond they have. And they also talk about some more things. Like he goes to the barn and we see that there's this chest of all these things that Clark, well, I mean, that Jonathan has taken as memorabilia for Clark, because Clark, he did a lot of crazy things as a kid, and Jonathan took these things to remember, because Jonathan said, I knew you when I got you. Well, when we found you in that farm, we knew that you were too special. Like you were special, and you were too big for us to keep you forever. That you belong to the world. So that's why I kept all these little trinkets to remember you, because I had to have something. Because I knew I couldn't keep you, so I had to have something. And I love this moment. And here's when Clark picks up a horseshoe, engraves on it with his heat vision that says "World's Greatest Dad," just saying, "Here's another one for the chest." And I love this moment between Clark and Jonathan. It's little character moments like this that are just great, that Geoff Johns nails perfectly in all of the Superman books, and I just love it. After this, Superman goes on his voyage to try and find Brainiac. He finds Brainiac's robots trying to bottle another city, and what happens is they're in the middle of bottling this city. Superman's a little too late. He flies out because he sees that a Brainiac robot is going to the sun. He's going to see what it's doing. It causes a supernova, causes its sun to explode, which causes the planet there to just completely die as well, and Superman gets knocked out because, well, supernova, sun exploded, and Brainiac collects Superman's body. He starts doing tests on him, downloading his memories, and Superman wakes up in the middle of it, beats off a bunch of robots, and talks to Brainiac. And we see that Brainiac is way bigger than he's been before. Like, Brainiac is huge. He's like 10 feet tall. And so they start having a fight and discussion, and Brainiac tells him about how he's downloaded his memories and things, and how it's funny that Superman thinks he's a man and not a Kryptonian, because it's like, why do you call yourself Superman? You are not a man, nor are you super, because, he's like, you're not super like I am. You're nothing. You're a Kryptonian. And Brainiac tells Superman about how the reason he's been going after Superman is because he's this thing that's outside of his collection. Because what Brainiac does is he goes to dying planets and he collects something from there, so that way he has the last of what's remaining. So that way he has the one thing that's left, so people won't know about it, but Brainiac will, and he's got, the last knowledge about it and everything. And so that's what he did with Krypton, because Krypton was already dying, so he didn't need to explode the sun like he did for this random planet. Krypton was already dying, so he just went there, took the city, and then left. To where with this planet, he took the city and then caused the rest of the planet to explode. And that's what he's planning on doing to Earth. And he talks about how he's trying to get Superman and Supergirl, because they're the two outside of his collection, because he has Kandor, which is all the Kryptonians left, but Superman and Supergirl, those are the two other Kryptonians that are outside of his collection. So he's trying to get them, and that's why he's been attacking them. Superman is able to stun Brainiac for a bit, and so he runs to Brainiac's collection of bottled cities. He finds Kandor, he starts talking to the people on there, then he's like, wait a minute, you're Kara's parents. You guys were outside of the Kandor when he got captured. How'd you get in there? Well, he's like, well, you see, we figured we would use Brainiac's technology to save our city during the explosion of Krypton. He tells them how, no one believed Jor-El when he said Krypton was doomed, except for them, because, that's Jor-El's brother, so of course they believed him, and they saw that he was right, and so they tried to recreate the technology that Brainiac used to capture Kandor. So they used it on Argo City, which is the city that they lived in, and when they did that, they survived the planet exploding, but Brainiac senses technology being used, sent his robots over there, they captured it, and then they integrated everyone from Argo City into Kandor, so that's how they got there. But this conversation doesn't last very long. Brainiac interrupts, is able to capture Superman, gets him, and then he has this big speech to Superman. He's just like, what's the point of you? Like I was talking about earlier, how he said, he's not Superman. He basically tells him this. He's just like, you're not super, you're not a man, you're pathetic, you're worthless. Just why do you care about Earth? You're Kryptonian. What is your whole deal with Earth? But during all this, Metropolis is in the process of being bottled by Brainiac, and Supergirl's there. She's trying to defend it, but it's not going so well because it's her versus a bunch of Brainiac robots, and she's also very emotional because, she's already seen this happen before. She doesn't want to see it happen again, so she's not really in control of what's going on here, in control of herself. And so it's basically everyone's trying to stop these robots, but it's not going so well. They end up bottling Kandor, and during this we hear Lois saying, if this is the last moments, Clark, I want you to know how much I love you, because she knows, Superman can hear her from anywhere. Clark hears what she's saying. He's able to break out of Brainiac because, this is what's fueling him. This is what's making him go on. He can't give up now just because he's been captured by Brainiac. He's able to break out of the restraints, tries to hit Brainiac, doesn't go so well. Brainiac just overpowers him, but then he realizes that Brainiac has these I don't know what to call them. They're sort of information absorbers in his head, like these little purple dots that are just in his head, and Superman's able to take his fingers and shove them in there because that's where he absorbs information. and he figured that would hurt him. It does. Stuns him for just a bit to where he's able to grab the Kandor embottled Metropolis, and then he kicks Brainiac out onto like this swamp area, and Brainiac's like, and Superman is like, you can't battle what you can't control. You're not good with this stuff, because it's all these germs and dirt and frogs and just a bunch of nasty stuff that Brainiac's not used to. He's used to having everything nice and clean inside a bottle that he doesn't have to deal with. He can just study from the outside. But being in the middle of it, not so good for Brainiac. He does not like that. Superman's just like, you can't really deal with this. So Brainiac's freaking out. Superman flies away because Brainiac's like, that's not going to go so well for you. Those city shields aren't going to last long. They're going to expand and bad stuff's going to happen. So Superman's like, thanks for the tip. He flies out, puts Metropolis back where it's supposed to be. Metropolis enlarges. Metropolis is all good again. He flies out to another area to put Kandor. He flies back to the Fortress of Solitude, and there's, obviously a bunch of empty spaces out there since it's in Antarctica, and he just finds an empty spot, puts Kandor there. But during this, we see that Brainiac says, one thing that Clark forgot was the fact that Brainiac downloaded all of his memories, so he knows where his adopted parents live. He sends a Brainiac robot there to the Kent farm. It goes after them. It's about to smack straight into Martha Kent. Jonathan Kent tackles her out of the way, saves her. Big explosion happens. It's a happy thing because they're like, okay, it's all good. It's over. And Superman, we get this big, great art, by the way. Gary Frank does the art. I haven't mentioned this yet in the video. Geoff Johns and Gary Frank are my favorite writer-artist combination. They're just great together. But anyways, it's just this great page of Superman in awe about the fact that, wow, Kryptonians are back now. This big city of Krypton. I have so much to learn. I get to meet actual Kryptonians, more than just my cousin now. This is going to be so cool. And he's all excited. And then we see that Jonathan Kent collapses. He's having a heart attack. Martha Kent is screaming for Clark. It takes a couple screams for her because Clark is so mesmerized by the fact that Krypton is back. Well, at least a part of Krypton. He's so mesmerized by it. Then he hears her screaming. He races there. He gets there, and Jonathan Kent's just down in Martha's arms. He grabs Jonathan Kent. Then we go to the next issue, and Jonathan Kent is dead. It's the funeral. First couple pages, there's no words at all. It's just Gary Frank's art, and it's just Clark at the funeral with everyone else, with Lois, Martha Kent. It's a really sad, sad day. It's very depressing to read this issue, and during it we see that Lois starts talking to Clark because he hasn't said anything. It's like, is everything okay and stuff? And he's like, no, it's not okay because my father is dead, but Brainiac is still alive, and he imagines killing Brainiac, but Lois is like, just don't let this cloud your judgment. Your father would not want you to go and just plain out murder Brainiac. He's like, just don't let this ruin who you are. We see Clark go out to the barn where all those memories and everything's were that his father kept. He's reminiscing. It's really sad. And then the book ends with this as the final page. I hope the camera focuses on it. I don't think it is, but that's the final page. It's Clark down on the ground crying with the horseshoe he gave to his father and his glasses off. Now, this is huge for a Superman book because this is way different from any other ending besides, Death of Superman. Generally, Superman books end with a happy ending. Superman defeated the villain, and it looked like that. Geoff Johns presented it like it was going to be this big happy ending. Jonathan Kent had just saved Martha Kent. They're okay. The Brainiac bot missed them. Superman had just saved Metropolis and Kandor. The Kryptonians are back. It's a happy day. It is great. And then, like that, it all goes south because Jonathan Kent dies, and there's nothing Superman could have done about it. It's a heart attack. There's nothing, no one Superman could have punched to prevent that. And I think this was just a great ending, and it's so sad. It hits you right there. It's very emotional, and something a lot of people don't expect from a Superman book. But it's great. I love the ending. It fits perfectly, and a lot of people, including myself, can relate to that. Because I had someone that was really close to me that died from cancer, and so I can relate to that big time about how the fact that his father died from a heart attack. That's something that he couldn't prevent. There's no justice for it. He can't put it on trial. He can't punch it in the face. He can't kill it. Same with cancer. You can't do any of that. There's nothing you could do about it. And I can relate to that, and I think a lot of other people can, and this is the point. This is one of those things to where it's like, this is why Superman is my favorite character. He's my favorite comic character of all time, because of moments like these. See, the end of the Superman book is Clark crying on the ground. Who would have expected that? This is Superman. We're used to seeing him, in this pose as this big, great guy. It's, practically perfect and everything. And in the end, he's crying because he just lost his father, because he's more human than most superheroes. And that's the reality of it, and that's why I love Superman. And this book is amazing. It's as far as the grand scope of the story and everything, that's not why I read this book when I first well, that's not why I love this book. I love it because of the character moments and how great they are and the dialogue and everything. The grand overarching story with Brainiac is pretty good. It's not my favorite. Geoff Johns has done way better, but as far as the character moments and the dialogue and everything like that, it's the best. It's amazing. It's like top notch, and Geoff Johns just kills it with this. And I highly recommend you guys read this book. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please let me know with a like and a comment. And if you have read Superman Brainiac, please let me know in the comments below what do you guys think about it. And if you enjoyed this video, well, actually, I already said that. Anyways, see you guys in the next one. Hope you enjoyed it. I don't know what the next comic I'll be covering will be, but we'll see. But yeah, see you guys in the next one.